The Once and Future Nerd. Book 2. Myth Made Flesh. Chapter 1. A Cruel and Sullied World. By Christian T. Kelly Madera. Hello, dear listener. My, it's been a while. I'm sorry that you've been kept waiting. Some of the fault is mine, I'm afraid. I'll freely admit that my desire to, shall we say, unwind after the end of our first book led to not a few lost weekends with Sullied and her canib root-chewing friends. But I'm here now, so I suppose we had best jump right back into... I beg your pardon? I see. Dear listeners, it seems our producers are insisting that I provide you with a recap of our last book's events. I know. So little respect for audiences these days. I'll do as I'm told, of course, but I must first say this and then no more. I've been a storyteller since before written language. Back then, all tales told were clumsily crammed in preposterous patterns so mortal minds could better master them. Still got it. Anyway, my point is if those folks could keep a story straight, surely a modern audience with their much-lauded computer machines doesn't need their stories regurgitated to them half-digested like they're helpless baby birds. I mean, by nature's blessing, the central theme I spent 13 hours driving at was the importance of engaging critically with stories. Wouldn't this farce of a summary somewhat defeat that purpose? Why do the producers think I do all this? It's not for their generous health and pension plan, I can assure you of that. You know what? I do take this personally. I do. I perform with all the skill I possess, which I am not bragging and saying is considerable, all of the subtlety and nuance and... dare I say poetry that goes into telling our tale they want me to toss out in favour of some highly truncated synopsis, something which by its very nature must have all the subtlety and nuance of a stampede of sexually excited elephants. You know what? Fine. Producers, you want an elephant orgy? Here it goes. Our tale begins in earnest when 3 humans called Billy, Jen, and Nelson from a realm called Northeast Pennsylvania find themselves in Jordan after enduring a magical event they cannot yet begin to understand.
Where the hell are we?
You're in lands claimed by His Majesty Gunther Guernatal, High King of the human realms of Jordan.
After initially being met with suspicion, the Pennsylvanians' resemblance to a nearly forgotten prophecy leads the war hero Brennan and the king's elvish advisor Yillowin to conscript them into a quest. The true purpose of this quest, though it is hidden from all but Brennan, is to find the king's sole surviving descendant, an illegitimate child living in the slums of the port city of Armstrongard. The party acquires this person, one Irona Margaret Regan, along with an academic priest in training called Nia, and hopes to bring Regan back to Castle Guernatal to be legitimized by His Majesty King Gunther.
I'm a fucking princess?
Despite Regan's reservations about the whole thing.
Go fuck yourself, splint a pole. Oh wait, that wasn't very ladylike. Excuse me. Hark! Verily I hereby decree that you all shall fuck yourselves. How's that?
This never happens, however. Instead, a minor noble named Ardell Redmore makes a treasonous play for the throne, resulting in the death of King Gunther.
Be quiet and help me move him.
Brennan, you know damn
Shut
well
up!
he's dead, and we will be too if we don't leave right now.
This, of course, leaves Regan with a very legitimate claim to the high throne of the human realms of Jordan. It's also worth noting here that the traitor Ardell has a twin sister Arlene, who is in mutual but unexpressed love with her handmaiden Gwen, and that the two eventually flee Castle Guernatal to seek a life together on the frontier. Meanwhile, Jen, to the surprise of her comrades, finds herself both willing and able to kill. Bad men, I assure you, but still.
You know what I've been feeling since this morning? I can't imagine. Powerful. I didn't want to think about it because I knew once I thought about it. Oh my god. I killed somebody.
Thus beset by the forces of Ardell Redmore on one side and the constables of Armstrongard on the other, our party of 7 seeks refuge with Yelloween's parents in the White Forest, then the seat of elven power in Jordan. Brennan petitions the elves and their mighty knights of the wood, Tar Lohil in the speech of elves, to help him dethrone the usurper Ardell. But he is frustrated again when Regan refuses to publicly stake her far more legitimate claim to the throne. So Brennan, Regan, Nia, and Ylwin leave the 3 Pennsylvanians behind as they seek to earn favor with the Knights of the Wood by means of a quest. This quest leads to both the uncovering of an ancient and undeciphered source of knowledge and a confrontation with a former suitor of Nia's.
I know you loved me once.
Slightly infatuated, maybe.
If you will not recognize my magnificence, then you shall die!
Former, in the sense that he had ceased to be alive, not in the sense that he had ceased pursuing Nia. Indeed, death had done nothing to cure this undead horror's insufferable personality.
Oh, so you've resolved not to learn anything from this, then?
Oh, eat a dick, Maguire!
With their comrades thus occupied elsewhere, the 3 young Pennsylvanians are abducted by the Templars of Discord, a militant cult of the chaos god Garedian, and are forced to endure visions of their greatest fears intended to break their psyches. But all 3 rise to the challenge, much to their own surprise.
Stories matter. You want to understand people, understand their stories. You want to change people, change their stories. People are the stories they tell. Power is who gets to tell the stories. That's good, son.
You're weak!
I'm done! I'm done not being human. I want to feel feelings. I'm tired of hurting everyone because I'm scared. Ah!
There's whatever little world you grow up in, and then there's the darkness all around. Outside normal, outside supposed to, but there's some people who just need to take that step into the darkness.
It's scary.
That's how you know you need to go there. I love you, sweetheart. I'll always love you.
I know. Ooh!
No sooner do they wake, however, than they are thrust into battle. For while the Yordic nobility had been feuding for power, an army of the folk from west of the Black Mountains, then known as Orcs, had been invading the east to an extent not seen in millennia. This invasion was led by a half-orc general called Traft, who had been trained in warfare by the elves some years prior as a sort of experiment, which now seems to have backfired.
Warriors, today is your day. All columns, full assault. Charge!
The fortress at Freehold, with its civic guard garrison commanded by General Bryce Riverfell, is the last major stronghold between Traft's Orcish armies and the entire eastern realms of Jordan. It also happens to be where our 3 young heroes have been taken to recover following their encounter with the Templars. The Freehold garrison fights bravely, aided in no small part by the 3 Pennsylvanians. Jen especially is a force to be reckoned with, using magical abilities she is just beginning to discover within herself. But the numbers are stacked badly against them, and Traft's army, aided by the Templars of Discord, have some formidable abilities of their own.
Move! Everybody move! It's coming down!
The thick stone edifice trembled, then quaked, then fell to the ground.
But just as the keep seems likely to fall and our young heroes seem likely to be slaughtered, Brennan and the others enter the fray with several hundred knights of the wood riding beside them and turn the tide.
Tarniki!
His armies routed, the war chief Traft flees in the chaos, and thus is our party reunited to share in a moment of triumph. Their happiness seems doomed to be short-lived, however. After the battle, Regan secretly followed the Knights of the Wood.
Nein, mildness, wieder mildness.
When last we left her, she had just witnessed the horrific slaughter of hundreds of Orcish women and children at the hands of the very elf knights who had so recently seemed the heroes. And that should just about catch us up. I may interject from time to time with the odd detail I need you to recall, but that's the core of the thing. Honestly, though, it was much better in the initial telling. Metaphors about rabbits and all that. It was beautiful. Worth your revisiting, I promise. Truthfully, I suppose that wasn't so bad. I'm sorry you had to hear me get so cross. It's just... Well, if stories really do so profoundly shape the way in which we see the world, then it follows that the storyteller has an enormous responsibility. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming, you know. But if I promise to do my best in the telling, you must promise not to become complacent in your listening. And in that we'll approach the truth. All right? All right. We must resume our tale, I think, with Regan, who, as I said, had just uncovered a grisly secret. Even to someone such as Regan, the brutality which just transpired was shocking, and she couldn't help but express as much with all her typical eloquence.
Motherfucker.
Lieutenant, bring the oil.
General Relotit, the Lord Commander of the Knights of the Wood, spoke in the elven tongue, of course, which I'm translating for you. Regan did not understand the elf's words, but she certainly knew what building a bonfire looked like. She began searching for some way of stealthy escape from her precarious perch in the tree. Nothing presented itself.
Steamer!
I'm hoping you've picked up that word by now. It means something like halt. Regan held perfectly still as Ree took in her surroundings with the great vigilance that her mighty elvish senses allowed. Clearly the elf detected something amiss. Ree walked to a tree at the edge of the clearing, which mercifully was not hiding Regan just then, but on which Regan had accidentally left behind some of the mud which she was using to mask her scent from elvish noses. The irony was not lost on our besieged thief queen. With pounding heart but steady hands, Regan inched her fingers towards the repeating crossbows she wore on her belt. A gift from Relotit, you recall.
Taid, I've found tracks. Some have escaped.
Where?
Just over this way.
You six, with me. The rest of you, burn this all. I needn't restate the need to be thorough. Your houses are dependent on you.
As the elves resumed building the fire, an old proverb, newly remembered, made Regan choke back a very grim sort of laugh. I believe it was something about frying pans and fires. You'll recall that Jen was the last of our party to speak with Regan before she snuck off to follow the elf knights. What? Yes, this was indeed a few days ago in the timeline of our tale. Very good. You are paying attention. I admittedly introduced a lack of temporal realism towards the end of our last book for the sake of giving events their due weight, but I'll get us back on track, don't worry. Anyway, Jen, having watched Regan stalk off into the night, returned to the tent where Billy slept. There she saw her paramour sleeping, albeit fitfully.
What the fuck?
Billy?
Huh?
You up?
I was having the weirdest goddamn dream.
Your dad again?
Oh, Nelson, actually. You sleep okay? What time is it?
Early still. It's really early. Regan just, fucked off into the woods.
Yeah, well, you know, sometimes you gotta go.
She's chasing the elves, I think. I'm trying to decide if I should tell Brennan and Nia.
Snitches get stitches, dude.
Get some rest, okay? We could all use some.
Love you.
I love you too.
And thus did Jen make her way to the nearby tent where Nelson slept. She placed a very tentative hand on the boy's shoulder.
Hey, Nelson?
Huh?
But Nelson jolted awake as if roused from the sleep of the dead.
Sorry, I know it's really early. I needed...
Huh?
Are you okay?
Yeah. No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Having a bad dream? I think all of ours are getting pretty messed up.
I never remember mine. What's going on?
I kind of needed your advice, actually.
You do?
Regan ran off chasing the Knights of the Wood.
The elves were pretty clear about not doing that.
Right, but seems like a thing Brennan and Nia would definitely want to be told.
Yeah, and Regan would definitely not want that. You really want to get on our bad side?
No, but the elves are...
Nelson, are you... Oh, good morning. I hope I'm not intruding.
You're fine.
I think it's time we spoke.
About what?
To begin with, your most recent dream.
Though Nelson could still not remember a moment of his recent dream, the look on Nia's face made clear the gravity of the situation. A situation which I'm afraid we must return to when next we meet. Sorry, simply too much elves to cover this week. Well, I told you I would correct some of my earlier time jumping. How do you expect me to do it except by jumping around a little bit more? You'll recall we last left Gwen of Ruefield in the unenviable position of having stumbled upon an infant and its mortally wounded mother. To make matters worse, the now deceased mother gave every outward appearance of being an orc, and Gwen had very little time indeed to think through her circumstances.
Gwen? Are you... Oh my god.
As she was approached by the woman who until recently had been called Arlene Redmore.
What's happened? Whose child is that?
Shh. I don't know where to start. Look in a creek. And we've talked about our names, Anna. I really prefer to be called Gale.
Yes, of course. How silly. Ah! Gods, that's an orc! What are you standing here for? There are likely to be others.
Wait, that's what I thought too, but the grey ain't supposed to wash off, is it?
Wash off?
Look where the water's touched her. Don't look like orc skin to me.
Anna walked to the water once more and saw with her own eyes just what Gale had told her about the corpse.
Gods, did you ever? But then, the dead one's eyes are still red as the evening sun, just like in the songs. Perhaps the skin is part of some ruse or glamour to steal that child.
The child's hers.
What? How do you know?
She spent her last breath begging me to save it.
It could talk?
Well enough to say that.
My gods, does that mean it's an orcling you're holding? Put it down! Be careful!
No, this can't be what an orcling looks like. It's so sweet.
Let me see the babe's eyes.
They're lighter than its mother's, almost brown.
But not quite.
Maybe they get darker as it grows?
You are right, though. It's hard to believe that this could grow into some foul, savage brute. Yet, whatever happened out here is nothing good. We should get inside.
What about the child?
What do you... Oh. My darling, we can't take it. You know we can't.
We can't leave out here, neither.
Gale, there's been a war. Wars are evil things, and they make many orphans. But that cannot be for us to fix.
It's so helpless.
So it seems right now. What's to say it doesn't... I don't know. Transmute overnight and cut our throats as we sleep.
Oh, look at it.
We must be sensible here.
I can be sensible, but I can't be heartless.
Heartless? You think I'm heartless?
No, that's not
and
what...
where should it end, then? This is a cruel and sullied world full of helpless little creatures. Shall we care for them all?
Care for them? I didn't say that, and you know it. We ain't gonna care for them all, just this one right in front of us.
What place do we have caring for anyone? We only just barely have food and a roof over our heads.
Aye, but we have. And it doesn't. You wanna just leave it out here to die?
I want us to live in peace for once. Is that too much to ask out of life? Haven't we been through enough? Or is it just our lot to live in turmoil and terror until death finally takes us? Which will be very soon indeed if this imp does not pipe down.
Shh.
Why will it not stop?
Try singing to it.
What?
That's what lullabies is for, ain't they?
This is absurd, and we're in danger. Oh, very well.
My love, life ain't ever fair. But if we leave this wee thing to die out here, be eaten by wolves or worse, I'll never sleep again. And I don't think you will neither. Look at it.
I don't. Yes. Yes, you are right. God send all their hosts to help us. What do we tell Bailey?
There's been a war. Wars are evil things, and they make many orphans. It's not forever. It's just until someone can take it.
You make it sound as if it's just any old child. Here, have this baby. It might turn into an orc, but we're not certain. Best of luck.
Well, maybe it won't. And it sure looks like any old child, isn't it? You said yourself its eyes are nearly brown. Its clothes are ragged, but they don't look orcish, far as I can tell. Looking at it, you never think twice. Unless...
Both turned to look at the ashen corpse, motionless but for the swaying of the water.
No one must see that body anywhere near us. Her arm's hooked on this rock.
The women watched, uncertainty in their eyes, as the bloodied body drifted downstream. All in all, the moment was oddly serene.
God's damn ass-looking son of a fucking shit.
Ah, yes, how could I forget? We must return to Regan's decidedly unserene circumstances. Though the Knights of the Wood had finally begun to leave, the fires they had set had already grown into a roaring conflagration. Acrid smoke hung in the air, sickly and sweet. It was in fact one of the very few odours in this world with which life in Armstrongard had not acquainted Regan. And though it was not terribly unlike the appetizing aroma of a roasting pig, the memory of screaming mothers and children made the smell unspeakably vile to Regan's nose. She choked back a gag as she looked down the tree. To her dismay, tongues of flame were already lapping at the tree which concealed her. She looked to the ground for any sign of a soft spot, but found none.
Oh, you fucking dumbass, Maggie. This is where your luck dries up?
She gave a hasty inspection of the branches around her, hoping one might be both strong and flexible. One potential option presented itself. She dropped down and, pumping her legs and arms, she sought to bend the branch low so that she might safely drop to another beneath it. Unfortunately, it gave way too early. Regan tried to grab the branch beneath, but was falling too fast. She managed to get her arms out in front of her to save her skull and chest. But she knew the stronger of her wrists was broken as soon as she hit the ground. And then, as she raised herself on the other elbow to more easily stand, a third branch gave way right above her and pinned her legs. I understand, of course, why in the moment she cursed that second branch with all her considerable rage.
Piece of fuck.
Mortals are quick to disregard and disrespect nature when they're only looking in front of their own noses. But had the branch not pinned her down, she would have very likely been struck and killed by the massive log that fell a moment later.
Oh, come on, Maggie. Up her body strength.
With her healthy arm, Regan reached out for purchase to pull herself forward, but burned her hand on what felt like a rock. She tried scooting forwards on her elbows, but it was around this time she became aware that she was having quite a hard time indeed catching her breath. The air around her was more smoke than anything else. Her vision blurred, then greyed, then narrowed. Then all was black. We rejoined some of our party in one of their tents near Freehold, where Nia had come to converse with Nelson and Jen.
We must speak about your dreams, Nelson. Do you remember anything?
Yeah, I told you, I never remember my dreams.
I thought this one might be different. You spoke to me in my dream.
That's weird.
Yes. In the past, when I've had visions of the wounded young girl, I was alone. But last night, you were there, as was Billy, and Yillowin, and Sir Brennan, which is why I've come to speak with you.
The wounded? Oh, right. That's the girl. That's the wounded girl. I have seen her.
Sorry, can we back up just a tiny bit?
So you do remember the dream?
No. Still no for tonight, but I think I saw that girl when the Templars made us hallucinate.
Yeah. Just real quick,
Right, sorry. So, turns out Brennan and Nia have been having these dreams where they see this little girl with the chest wound and she tells them stuff that's maybe a prophecy.
Okay.
But I forgot to tell Nia. When the Templars poisoned us, I saw... Well, I saw a lot of things, but one of them was this girl. She had a big bleeding hole in her chest, and she said that there are 7 things you must know to save me. The 6th is, order is a story made flesh through power.
Interesting. In last night's dream, she mentioned chaos. Order and chaos, the ideals of the gods Galadin and Garadian. All of this is just as I have been coming to suspect it would be.
You guys are being pretty casual about some straight-up horror movie shit.
Oddly, the wounded girl exudes calm, the same sense of safety and protection that Sir Brennan reported from his dream, the day you 3 arrived in Jordan. Do you remember that?
That was why the king let us live.
Right. No, Brennan's dream reminded him of that old prophecy. You know, the scrolls of, was it
Baradir. Yes, very good. The Scrolls of Baradir. And since having that dream, Sir Brennan has come to believe that the 3 of you are going to play some vital role in an upcoming war between order and chaos, which in his mind I'm sure means he's war to retake the throne.
Okay, but you don't think that's true, do you?
I've given that question much thought, and I have much to say, but for the moment you must understand that Sir Brennan believes it with his whole heart, and if he shared my dream last night, as I suspect, he will want to speak with you immediately upon waking. He will likely insist on taking you before the Council of Elders, as he had planned to do when all of this started.
That's the Council of Elves that we talked to, last week? That Regan lied to?
No, that was the High Council of the White Forest. The Council of Elders is a gathering of scholars, clergy, and theologians who aim to guide proper interpretation of Scripture throughout the realm.
They should have picked more distinct names that were easier to remember.
I'll be sure to mention it when next I have a hand in shaping centuries-old institutions.
Oh my god, Nia. Was that a joke?
No, we are too short on time to joke. Be forewarned. If you come before the elders, depending on what they say, Sir Brennan may either release you from his charge entirely
or if we're important, then we're in for the duration.
What the elders say may make you indispensable in Sir Brennan's eyes, yes. He is too honorable for outright kidnapping, but he would not make your departure easy. So you should think carefully about what you do next.
Are you telling us to run away?
I'd sincerely hope you wouldn't, but you ought to make an informed decision.
Thanks, Nia, for, treating us like grown-ups.
You've been given responsibilities no child could bear. You're owed the respect that goes with that.
Well, alright, speaking of that, Nia, what do you think about this prophecy stuff?
Yeah, informed decision, right? So, inform us.
Yes. Well, let me begin by saying I think it is obvious by now there is something extraordinary about you all.
Nah.
Whether I think you have aught to do with the Scrolls of Baradir is complicated. In no small part because my beliefs regarding the scrolls themselves are complicated. They were very important in my house as a child. My parents are priests in the Order of the Plough, you see.
Joined the family trade, huh?
Not quite. The Order of the Plough is a ministry devoted to the concerns of farmers and other country folk, and the Scrolls of Baradir purport to be written by a fisherman who was visited by Galadin in his sleep. You can see why this idea of Galadin speaking to a humble fisherman would be appealing among the rural lowborn.
Visited? Like in a dream?
That is where beliefs diverge. You see, writing in the time of Baradir tended to be very poetic. The ancients were more concerned with the personal, emotional truth of events than with the objective material truth. So, what does Baradir mean when he speaks of his visits from Galadin? Perhaps he is speaking in metaphor, and only meant to say he felt the presence of Galadin in a very personal way. The Council of Elders prefers this interpretation.
How come?
Because the alternative is that he visited the Selberic Plain in his dreams and communicated directly with Galadin.
And they don't like that idea.
Selberic dreaming is a known and accepted miracle. But the canonical scriptures say this only happens to the worthiest of the worthy, to those who have devoted their entire lives to the rule of order and the glory of Galadin. And the Council of Elders holds that this means, well, them.
So God's word has to come through them. Convenient.
I'd be lying if I said politics weren't involved. But the scriptures are dense texts full of archaic language and many meanings. I do not think they can be fully understood without many years of study. If I did not fully believe that, I never would have joined the Order of the Quill.
Okay, but so there's a chance that one, or many of us, may be Selberic dreaming?
Perhaps. There is also a third possibility. Some readings of Baradir seem to lend credence to what is called the theory of divine avatars.
Oh, you did mention this before. I was pretty out of it on that wagon ride to the White Forest, but I remember that because Nelson was shitting on Legend of Korra and I thought he was wrong.
You're really gonna front like it lives up to The Last Airbender? Come on.
It gets really good in the later episodes.
May we stay on topic, please? Much to say before the sun rises.
Sorry.
The theory of divine avatars holds that the gods Galadin and Garadian have the power, if they so choose, to leave Zelberin and inhabit the body of a mortal in Jordan. They must join with the body at birth and must remain with it until death. Some versions hold that while inhabiting an avatar, the gods lose all their powers. Others say that it strengthens them. They become superhuman. These beliefs were all common in antiquity.
What does the Council of Elders think of that one?
It is heresy, blasphemy. It defies the first theological axiom of the Second Concordat. The gods are of Zelberin alone. Scholars sometimes discuss it hypothetically, as the metaphysical implications would be fascinating. But to preach it in earnest is to forfeit one's tongue.
God damn.
Yes, perhaps. I never took the idea seriously before. But the things I've seen during our time together, the parallels between the dreams and the scrolls is uncanny, and Brennan knew nothing of the scrolls when his dreams began. But I finally started to think in earnest about avatars after meeting that beggar in Armstrongard. The night we stayed in the monastery, I dreamt of the girl. She told me the blind man has seen the face of God. And the very next day, a blind man I never met before tells me he saw Garadian herself carry out the murder of Prince Uther. Granted, there is nothing to rule out that the man was just mad, and our meeting pure coincidence. But once I allowed myself to consider the theory of avatars...
Other things just started coming into focus.
Yes, well said. Many things that have long been mysterious, especially regarding the death of Prince Uther. But that is a much longer story.
Okay, so bracket that. What could this mean for us?
Well, you did arrive here seemingly out of nowhere with memories of a fantastical world that is nothing like this one.
Wait. You're not actually suggesting that we're avatars of your gods, are you?
One thing the literature agrees on is that if the gods were to take human form, they would still know they were gods. So no, I don't think so. There is, however, talk in the scrolls of a champion. And that will have to wait, it seems.
What? Come on, you can't leave us hanging like that.
Brennan will be in soon, and then you'll have some thinking to do. But before you choose your course, I say this in favor of your staying. Regarding the mysteries we've discussed, including your arrival in Jordan, and perhaps even how you might return to your home, the elders certainly have access to research that I do not. I promise no answers, but neither can I think of a better alternative. Now think on what I've said.
She turned to leave them, but then paused once more.
I'd not make liars of you, but I would ask that you not volunteer the details of this conversation to Sir Brennan.
Wait, hang on.
Yes?
Regan left to chase the elves in the middle of the night.
Oh boy, there it is.
She did what?
I can't decide whether to tell Brennan.
This is who would be Queen Galadin save us all. Sir Brennan must be told, but let me handle it. Take the chance to talk amongst yourselves.
And then she departed, leaving Jen and Nelson alone with a great many thoughts. Unbeknownst to Nia, though, Brennan had awoken before the horn's call, but having found Nia out of bed, he chose to begin his day speaking with Yelloween.
Her Majesty must declare herself. Now that Traft is routed, there are houses that will take up arms against Redmore. Maybe enough to defeat him, but only if Queen Regan flies Gwernethal banners. Perhaps she'll be more willing, now that she's seen the Tarlehill are true to their word.
Though if she makes her claim now, after having earlier denied knowing Gwernethal's heir, I worry they may hold the, ruse against her.
She was thinking tactically. Hardly damning for a queen, rather the opposite.
I pray the High Council of the White Force sees it that way. I must admit, I worry sometimes, Sir Brennan. Is she ready to wear Gunter's crown?
More ready than that snivelling shite Ardell Ridmore.
Well, of course, I only...
And she is Gunter's granddaughter.
Bastard granddaughter.
I know for a fact he planned to legitimize her before he was usurped and murdered.
Yes, I'm not...
And I'll not listen to you disparage Gunter's dying wish.
Let's remain calm, Sir Brennan.
Do you think you know better than the High King what's best for the realms of men?
Let you not forget, sir, what I've given for this queen. I challenged the High Council and spurned my parents out of faith that her cause would one day be proven just. But if I am wrong, then my life in politics is over before it has started, and I've done insult to my kin for naught. Is that all forgotten?
No. No, 'tis not, Kiltir. Forgive me, I've been troubled of late. You've been as true to your post as could ever be asked.
I'll never ask your apology for being fierce in defense of your liege. Loyalty is perhaps the finest trait of men. I only ask you to believe that I speak as an ally. As far as I'm concerned, Irona Regan's claim on the throne is not in question. But in my capacity as an advisor, I must respectfully express my reservations concerning her readiness.
I cannot lie, Kiltir. I do wish she had more time to learn how to rule, and I wish Gunter was around to teach her. But never does the beggar set the banquet menu.
Well, you've never been a beggar, Sir Brennan. At least not for wisdom and strength. And she's not without a few regal qualities. If anyone can cultivate them, it is you.
You're gracious, Kiltir.
The human realm shall have a good queen one day, and you shall have your vengeance.
Sir Brennan, there you... Kiltir. Good morning. Am I intruding?
Not at all. I sought you out earlier, but you were not abed. I take it you had the dream as well.
I did, and there is much to discuss there, but...
Now, we truly must bring the young ones before the Council of Elders.
I still fear Sir Brennan may be giving too much credence to writings which have already been deemed false.
I believe Galadin is just, Kiltir. And for those three to arrive and the dreams to follow, just as the monarchy is in greater peril than it has been in a dozen lifetimes. Come to my aid here, Nia.
I think you are onto something. Truly, it merits much discussion, but I'm afraid there is a more urgent matter.
What is it?
It is, perhaps best discussed in private, Sir Brennan.
Are you certain the Kiltir's skills and knowledge would not be helpful?
A brief look passed between Nia and Brennan.
I'm sure there will be much to discuss with him come supper, but for now...
If that is the will of the court.
Kiltir, I'm certain General Riverfell could use a hand rebuilding his ramparts. Perhaps you could offer your services for the day.
You would like me to work as a carpenter?
He's been a most gracious host, and with your skills as a climber, you are uniquely suited to the work.
Yes, it seems I am. Very well, then.
Nia hesitated to speak for some time, knowing what she did about an elf's senses.
He's out of earshot by now.
Her Majesty, our Queen, seems to have departed.
Departed where?
West, tracking the Tarlo heel.
She what? She what?
This was several hours ago, as far as I can tell.
Why didn't you tell me sooner?
I only just found out. Jen was the only one she told.
Well, why didn't Jen tell me sooner?
Seems she was torn between guarding Regan's safety and respecting her stated wishes. A noble struggle, if ever there was one.
The Tarlo heel care not about intentions. They will suffer no defiance, which is how they'll see Regan's trespass. None of you understand, and I blame myself. Perhaps I was too permissive with that tablet you found in the cairn.
The map, you mean? It could be an invaluable font of information, if I could just decipher it.
That's just what I mean. I accepted that risk because I truly believed there was no way the elves would know, and even then with unease. But trespassing where the knights are like to be. These are not some petty watchmen to be bribed. They are the army of order in this world, and they are ironclad in their purpose.
Order is a story made flesh through power.
What?
Nelson did have the sixth vision as suspected. Neither here nor there at the present. Is Regan good enough to avoid the elves' detection?
Depends on what they're doing, on how close she gets.
Brennan allowed himself a moment to think, and Nia saw his face change. The vexed consternation of man thinking fell to the grim certainty of man deciding.
I must go. As far as the Tarlo Hill know, I still hold rank over Regan. If she's found, I give the order to scout to the west. They may let her live if she was following my command.
Nia did not fail to grasp what Brennan was implying for himself. It showed on her face.
You needn't throw your life away, Sir Brennan. She is a woman grown, and she cast her own lot.
And I cast mine with hers. 41 years ago, I pledged my life to House Guernatol. Every day since has been borrowed from Galadon.
Brennan stood to leave.
If she returns alone, then you must convince her to declare. Make Jen help if they're such close friends. And if she needs someone to lead her army, you could fare worse than Bryce Riverfell.
Nia dropped her head, crestfallen, as Brennan departed.
Ha!
Brennan rode his mount hard, all that day and into the night. The dense forest slowed him, as did his frequent stops to put his ear to the ground for signs of the Tarlo Hill, but in the end he was glad he did so. The requisite detour, however, took him far out of his way, and by the time the night was at its deepest, Brennan had to admit to himself that he was well and fully lost. Thus it was with a drop of relief but a torrent of dread that Brennan spied the pillar of smoke to the north, just after sunrise.
Galadin, help me. Get up, you mangy nag. Yeah!
Oh, come on, Maggie. Up our body strength.
Answer if you hear me! Whoa! Whoa! Is anyone out here? Regan! Regan!
Brennan knelt beside his queen, doing his best to assess the situation, but it was soon apparent that there wasn't a moment to spare. He hoisted Regan onto the back of his mount and fled as fast as the beast dared run. You'll recall that Yellowin, courtier to the great but troubled House Guernathal, had been tasked with helping Bryce Riverfell's garrison rebuild the badly damaged fortress at Freehold. You'll also recall that this was in large part a ruse by Sir Brennan to conceal from Yellowin his flight west in search of Regan. So it is somewhat ironic that Yellowin's vantage point atop the ramparts of Freehold was what allowed him to espy Brennan's riding away. He returned to the day's work he had promised to do, but thereafter the scowl he'd worn since the morning hardened even further. That evening, with Brennan gone, Jen and Nelson took the opportunity to speak privately with Billy. Their first order of business was to fill him in on what Nia had told them.
So that's pretty much it. Everyone's been having those freaky dreams that might be about us.
Because maybe one of us is some kind of mythical champion or something.
And our best chance to figure out how to get home is by talking to some old people, but those people might convince Brennan not to let us leave anyway.
That sounds like one of those things, a dilemma.
Catch-22.
How much?
It means we've got a bunch of things that need to happen before we can get to our final goal, but one of the things that need to happen actually interferes with the final goal. So, that is a textbook catch-22. A dilemma is different. It's when you've got two choices that both suck.
Right, so like right now, when your choice is between my foot up your ass and my fist through your nose, is that a dilemma?
That would be assault, so...
Billy, don't threaten Nelson when he explains things. He usually knows what he's talking about.
But he's...
Nelson, before you say stuff like that, maybe stop and ask yourself whether you're trying to help the group or just make yourself feel smart.
Fair.
Fine.
But seriously, I kind of do have a dilemma. I can stay here, or I can try to go home.
Okay, as someone who never felt safe for a second in high school, let me be the first to say that this place is mad dangerous. We narrowly avoid death like 10 times a week.
Agreed. I'm not saying I like it here. I'm just saying there's something easier in a screwed up way about being in pure survival mode. Just react or you're dead. No time to spin every little thing around in your head until you convince yourself it's your fault and you're a bad person.
Babe, none of this is our fault. We just got put here and we're doing what we have to do.
Exactly. Look, I'm realizing lately there's some stuff in my head I've got to deal with, and I know that's where this is coming from,
Whoa. What do you mean, stuff?
I'll talk to you about it later, okay? But you know, the second we get back, there's going to be a parade of counselors and cops and excruciating nights with our families where they stare at us quietly and say, "It's okay if you don't want to talk," 1,000,000 times until we talk just to shut them up. I cannot deal with that right now.
If my dad ever did that, I would die of a heart attack.
You know what I mean, though, right?
I'm worried about my grandma. She already buried her son. I'd hate to think that she's doing one of those lame assumed dead but nobody found funerals for me.
Ugh, yeah, I know. I'm worried about my mom. But still, I'm staying. I can't make this call for anyone else. I don't want either of you to stay just because I'm staying. If you want to leave...
No. Hell no. No way I'm leaving you behind.
I know, honey. I know. I'm just saying, let's not bullshit ourselves. If we stay here, any one of us could die tomorrow. If you stay for yourself.
Can anyone honestly say they didn't feel like they were slowly dying on the regular in Pennsylvania?
At least there are options.
Maybe for you, man. Ain't shit for me. I'm pretty good at football. On a good day, I'm probably the second or third best QB in an ass crack of nowhere town. And I'm a dumbass.
You're not.
I'm a redneck dumbass who's just pretty good at football. No college for me. Only thing for me in Pennsylvania was Jen.
Hon, you're not dumb. And you're not a redneck. You have a rugged country aesthetic. It's hot.
She placed a hand on Billy's arm.
Part of me would kind of love to see those ass clowns from Valley North try and sack you now.
Yeah.
You're not worried about your mom?
Maybe without me tying her down, she'll finally have the balls to leave my dad.
We've been here for like a month and we still don't have a snowball's clue and fuck how we got here or how to leave. I think Mia's right. I think we gotta hear what this Council of Elders has to say.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
But if we decide we want to go back between now and then, I don't really have a plan for dealing with Brennan.
If it really came down to it, You think you could take him?
I don't want to. But if we really caught him off guard, I think I could knock him out.
Chill.
Billy quickly shushed his friends as he spotted Yellowin stalking towards them purposefully from several dozen yards away. We shall, how do you say it, fast forward through most of the awkward shuffling small talk as the Pennsylvanians waited for the elf to draw close.
Sucks that we keep getting interrupted like this.
Sup, Weenie?
Have any of you seen Regan today?
Not today. Nope.
Right.
And he strode off with purpose as our three youngest heroes shared a look of concern and no small disappointment. Perhaps to her own surprise, Nia had stolen a few minutes to admire the stars, as grown folk so rarely do. But her meditation was disturbed by Yellowin.
Kaltir, how went things at the keep?
Where was Sir Brennan headed after your conversation?
Nia's fidgeting was subtle, but would have hardly been remarkable were it not so great a departure from her usual trained, sage-like composure.
I'm not certain.
I saw him riding west in great haste from atop the ramparts.
I say again, his exact destination is not known to me.
But you have some idea as to his purpose. Am I wrong in suspecting it has something to do with Her Majesty's conspicuous absence today?
Whatever else I know is not rightly mine to divulge.
But it was fine to discuss with Sir Brennan.
Under the circumstances, yes.
Nia, have I shown myself at any time to be less than faithful to my post? Or to have betrayed your confidence in any way?
No, Kaltir.
Then why do I feel I still lack the trust of all those I travel with? They who still feel the need to make plans behind my back.
It's not a slight on you personally. I'm sure you're worldly enough to understand a man in Sir Brennan's position might have need of a few secrets. That is why the Concordat allows for the legal right of a royal
Do not
court.
condescend to lecture me on the law. I've not said anyone's behavior was unlawful or even improper, but it is unbecoming of a friend.
Kaltir?
I will not grovel to be called friend by those I am charged to as Kaltir, but I'm sure you're worldly enough to understand that rebuking my parents in their own house to defend this queen was a tremendous show of faith, performed at a considerable cost to myself.
I know that your faith in the Queen has been noticed, if not yet rewarded, and I am sorry for any insult I have personally done you. Atimo Loyigo.
Yes, that's well and good. Have you any sense when Sir Brennan might return?
Kaltir, your familial ties are none of my concern, but you should know that my parents were furious when I decided to join the Order of the Quill, and things have improved, truly. No one can walk a path for long which they believe to be false. Rather, wisdom shows us that the path of truth is ever winding, so we must have faith that love is unwavering. I have found that to be true, in the long run at least.
Thank you, Nia. Atimo Loyigo. I would still like to speak with Sir Brennan.
I truly do not know when he will return. I'm sorry.
Then it seems I must wash my hands of the matter until he deigns to return. Good evening.
He departed then, but the brief serenity Nia had found just a few moments prior now seemed to be good and gone. I'll now take the opportunity to return your attention to the former seat of power for the once great House Guernatal. You'll recall that Castle Guernatal was now held by forces allied with the usurper, Lord Ardell of House Redmore.
Hold and state your business. It's me, you dolt. Harold?
Yes, Harold. Come to relieve you like I've done for 5 nights running at exactly this hour. What is with you these days? You've been jumpy as a rat in a rookery.
I've seen it again.
Well, you've seen the ghost.
Well, heard it.
I told you, you're not used to castles this tall. It's just the wind playing tricks.
I know what wind sounds like, Harold. Wind don't talk.
All right, I'll bite. What did it say?
Death to usurpers. Just like that, then it was gone.
At this, a concerned frown did overtake the older sentry's face.
Where'd you hear this?
That tower over there.
Come with me.
believe me now, do you?
Like there's a ghost in the castle? No, but Lord Redmore's enemies do have spies who spread slanders about him.
Harold, what's a usurper?
It's not Lord Redmore, and that's all you need to know.
It was then the older sentry noticed the younger was covering his lower body with his shield instead of the customary upper body configuration.
What in Selborne are you doing?
Guarding myself?
Your heart and lungs are up here!
Don't you know, Harold? They say a ghost can hex a man's. You know?
You think a ghost's gonna put a curse on your cock?
As your spiritual guide to our tale, let me be very clear. This is not a thing. There are more things in Selborne and Jordan, my dear friend, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. But non-corporeal apparitions placing a hex on a man's genitals have never been among them.
Would you pick your bloody shield up?
Look!
As it happened, though, the torches in the watchtower to which the two sentries were headed did extinguish suddenly just then.
It's the ghost!
Come on.
They reached the turret to find another of their comrades in a heap on the floor.
Eric!
Check the corners.
And when the torches were relit,
Harold, look!
The two sentries saw their comrade. Well, fine, he was holding onto his genitals and rocking back and forth in pain.
The ghost hexed his cock!
But the elder sentry also noticed that the red and silver Redmore pennants which had adorned the tower had been replaced with hastily fashioned blue and gold. Guernatal colours.
Eric, what's happened?
All he said was death to usurpers.
The younger shot the elder a desperate look.
Believe me now, Harold.
Aye, maybe we ought to tell the sergeant about this.
4 days after the Battle of Freehold, some degree of normality and routine had taken hold in the camp near the fort. After breaking their fast, the Pennsylvanians had been dispatched to fetch water.
So, getting back home, do you think we'd have to get hit by lightning again? 'Cause that sucked ass.
Or just click our heels 3 times to say there's no place that's home because my identity is too complicated.
Ugh, too real.
Make way!
Oh, shit.
Not good.
Make way for the wounded!
The three of them dropped their water and sprinted back towards the camp.
Make way! Make way!
What in Kaladin's good graces?
Oh, dear.
Both of you help me get her down.
They hoisted Regan onto a field couch in Brennan's tent.
What's happened?
There was a fire in the forest. When I found her, she'd already fainted.
Regan was breathing, but her breaths were shallow and pained.
What happened?
Fire.
One wrist is broken and the other hand is badly burned.
Jen got close to Regan and noticed that a sickly blue tinge had just begun to overtake her lips.
Wrist and hand will have to wait. She's not getting enough air. Do we have any medicine that stops swelling?
None that works quickly. That's why I use ice.
Okay, Brennan, can you saw off the bottom of a cup or something? Make a tube.
He set to it.
Nia, you're gonna cool her throat while I try to hyper-oxygenate the air she's getting. As soon as I figure out what the Selberic shadow of an oxygen molecule feels like.
Jen cupped her own nose and mouth and closed her eyes to concentrate.
Nope, that's nitrogen. Take 2.
Here.
Nia placed Brennan's sawn-off cup over Regan's mouth and nose.
Okay, I think that's it. Nia, you good?
Yes, I'll soothe her throat.
As Nia placed her hands on Regan's throat, Jen wrapped hers around the cup and focused deeply. A breeze passed through the room, and the world around that cup seemed to twist.
Regan. Regan? Regan, can you hear me? Regan. Iorana Regan, can you hear me? I need you to wake up. Maggie? Maggie, can you hear me, Maggie?
With apparently great effort, Regan groaned and groggily opened her eyes.
Good, Maggie. Good. Stay with me. I need you to take deep breaths.
Regan shook her head no.
It's gonna hurt like a bitch, but you're not gonna get enough air otherwise. I want you to inhale while I count to 3. Ready? In, 2, 3, and out. In, 2, 3, and out. In, 2, 3, and down. Again, 2, 3, 2. She's stable, at least.
That was extremely well done, Jen. I dare say the finest physicians I've ever met could learn a thing from you.
Thanks. I'm just glad it worked. Oh, Brennan, you killed it with that splint.
Once you've set your own bone, it's not too hard to do on others.
Her burn is cleaned and bandaged with a good salve. It will scar, but with exercise she'll retain use of the hand.
Oh, do we have anything for pain?
Bryce may have some puppy milk to spare.
That will greatly slow the breathing, though. Not sure we can risk it at present.
We could get her drunk if we have to. It's not ideal, but not as hardcore as an opiate.
I don't know how we'd even start to reckon the proper amount for the likes of her, and I not have her monitor her own intake. Why don't we start with tea of the willow?
Does that actually work?
It helps a headache. Sometimes.
We can start there. She'll hate it. Cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess.
I'll take the first watch. You both should get some rest.
Get us if anything changes with her, okay?
Gods and Selburn. Was that worth it, Your Grace?
Anna and Gale had managed to get the infant back into their quarters at Bailey's Inn without raising too many eyebrows, but caring for it was already proving a headache after a mere few hours.
Shh, quiet. It's all right.
Gods, I thought it would have tired itself out crying by now.
You try holding him.
Very well. There.
I think he's taken a liking to you. It's that beautiful voice of yours.
Bailey seems to have believed our account in any case, though she's certainly not pleased.
Well, I know this won't do for long. I've been thinking on it. I think I better go to Freehold.
And speak with Bryce Riverfell?
I'll tell Miss Bailey I'm asking the General for help finding the child a permanent home, which ain't even really a lie. But a token from Miss Bailey get me an audience with him, no problem.
And while you have his ear...
General Riverfell met Traff, the half-breed, once. If ever we have a friend who knows about orcs, it's him.
When must we leave?
Well, I think I better go alone. Don't you?
Alone?
I don't think it will do to subject the wee little thing to the road, so one of us will need to look after him here. And you're more like to be recognized in Freehold.
But I don't know the first thing about caring for a child, let alone this one.
Ain't that much to it. If he cries, either feed him, clean his behind, or put him to bed.
You can't really intend to leave me alone with it.
I don't want to, but I don't see any way around it. Do you?
Well, just give me a moment to think, can't you? Rather than just deciding on your own and sneaking up on me with it.
I'm sorry it's so sudden, but the sooner I go, the sooner he doesn't have to be our concern anymore.
Fine, since you've made up your mind to abandon me. Forgive me, Gale. I know you're right. Only, I'm frightened.
I know. I am too, but we've been in far worse danger than this before.
Yes, but you've been with me for all of it. I'm realizing now, you've not been out of my sight for more than an hour since we left the keep. Saying goodbye is harder than it should be.
Gale approached Anna and took her hand with great care.
It's all right. It will be all right.
I love you.
I love you too.
Our time here has been the happiest time of my life. In fact, I think it is the only time I've ever known happiness. If something happened... If you do not return to me just as soon as you can, then I shall never forgive you.
Well, that won't do at all.
Gale kissed Anna, but Anna pulled away after just a moment.
Lately, I've felt as though I'm flying. Have you ever had a dream like that? And yet, A part of me expects to come crashing to the ground at any moment. Gods forgive me, I can't help but think this child will be the instrument of my downfall.
That's why I'm going to Bryce, so it doesn't have to be ours. And it's not but a few hours' ride. With the battle won, the supply trains will be running again, and Bryce's men will be back guarding the road. I'll be safe.
You'd better.
And you too. Keep your wits about you here. I wouldn't be leaving if I really thought he was any danger to you, but if there's any change, just stay safe, love.
Yes. For you, I always will. When must you leave?
Guess it depends on the supply trains. I'll have to talk to Miss Bailey.
And you'll be gone overnight?
Depends on the supply trains too. But I imagine I could.
Then make sure you leave time to say goodbye properly.
A smile overtook Gale's slightly reddening cheeks, and she did not break her lover's gaze until she was out the door. There is one more incident I must tell you about, before we return to the predicament of Queen Irona Regan and her retainers. And this one is set in a glacial cave off the southern coast of Jordan.
There, he is nearly unfrozen, Maguire. Now what do you have to say?
You'll recall that the necromancer Renault and the undead warrior Maguire were in the not-so-final resting place of Arden, a legendary hero of antiquity. Or at least of his corpse, which until very recently was frozen into a block of ice.
Well, you know, the reanimation is the part that requires true skill.
You doubt me still?
Oh, never. I'm just interested to see how this turns out.
Renault stood over the thawed remains of the enormous man and bowed his head, concentrating deeply.
From meat we're born, and to meat return. A cask of flesh our funeral urn. Ere our heart stops in its seat, and cease the drum of our life's beat.
How long it'll take you to beat your meat over there? I'm decomposing as we speak.
Shut the fuck up, Maguire! Like tulip in a field of grass, like bird, like bee, like snake, like ass.
Oh, I like ass indeed.
Maguire, I swear to every god there is, as unto man the gods gave breath.
Listen, this dreadful thing had a few dozen verses to it. Loath as I am to speak in Renault's defense, he was attempting a very difficult spell. But I see no need to subject you to the whole sodding thing, so we'll skip to the end.
By my will and might and practiced hand, I bid you wake on my command.
You have a practiced hand, all right, you fucking wanker.
Maguire, shut the fuck up!
Despite Maguire's goading of Renault, neither could pretend not to perceive the dread stillness that had settled around them. By now the force of these magics felt fit to tear asunder the ice and living rock. And then... Arden's eyes shot open as his every enormous muscle twitched to life.
Ha! There, I have done it, Maguire. Stand, my friend. We've much to discuss.
Arden the Annihilator stood to his full height, his corded, sinewy form looming over the cavern. He was a fortress unto himself. His pitch-black hair fell to his shoulders in wild, untamed locks, and his eyes burned like oil fires cutting through a blizzard. One was the blue of a summer sea, and the other was the orange of a lit coal. First he looked Renault thoroughly up and down. Then he looked to Maguire and nodded something like a greeting. Maguire bowed his head low. Then Arden's fearsome gaze fell upon his hammer, where it rested upon the altar.
Now our first order of business will be to avenge my recent defeat, nay, betrayal. There is a harlot of a sorceress who did everything she could to make me believe she loved me. And I, fool that I was, gave her my heart. But then she and 3 others came to the keep where I had found shelter and stole from me a great treasure from ages past. good. I see you fetched your...
Arden, the Akamilla father too.
Maguire, could you please remove my 5th and 6th rib from my right lung, please?
So how's your greatest feat yet working out for you so far?
Thank you, Maguire. Now, as for you, I gave you life, and you...
With this second blow, Arden had knocked Renault's jaw clear across the cave.
Well then, the mighty Arden has spoken.
Maguire gestured to Arden, and the two made for the egress of the cave, in quite high spirits, if truth be told. But Maguire stopped once more before leaving.
I suppose I owe ye a word of thanks, what for reuniting me with the Annihilator and all. Fare thee well, Renaud d'Esprit. If ever we cross paths again, it'll be ages too soon. But you weren't entirely useless.
And Renaud blasted d'Esprit, never one to let the heinous mutilation of his flesh stop him from being an arse, clawed his way after them. It had been more than a day since Regan's return, and though her condition had not worsened, it had also not noticeably improved. The fallen queen had not stirred from where she was lain. Jen was nearing the end of her watch when...
Regan? You with us?
Oh my god, fuck everything.
Well, bowl me over. Morning sunshine.
The fuck am I?
Back near Freehold, thanks to Brennan. You were out for a while. I was worried you were in a coma. Damn, I guess you might have been.
That was when the tent opened to reveal the one who would relieve Jen of her scheduled watch.
Hey, she's up.
Welcome news indeed. When she's feeling...
Son of a bitch.
Regan launched herself in Yelloween's direction, but her legs betrayed her immediately.
Whoa, easy, cowgirl.
Did you know, motherfucker?
Know what?
Come down here and talk to me if you're not a yellow piece of shit.
Now, wait just a moment. You're the one with questions to answer.
Okay, let's calm down before we get hurt.
Here, someone's gonna get hurt. Answer my question, you splintable fuck. Did you know?
I don't know what it is
Okay,
you...
clearly she's delirious. Just leave for now.
And leave you alone with her?
Send Billy.
I think Sir Brennan would be
Billy, okay? Just trust me.
Fuck you. Stay right the fuck here and answer me.
Yelloween exercised his better judgment and departed. This only led Regan to intensify her admittedly futile pursuit.
Get back here, you chicken shit son of a bitch.
Okay, what the hell are you doing? Can we stop?
Get off of me.
Why don't we go lay back down before... Ow! Ow, who the fuck actually bites someone?
I said, let me go.
Yeah, not until your trachea heals. Come on. Up she goes. You know, it's a good thing you didn't break my skin. They haven't invented tetanus shots yet. I could have died from infection.
You trying to say my mouth is dirty?
You? Gosh, never.
Bite my cunt.
With great effort, Jen and Regan managed to get the latter's less than fully functional body back into her cot.
So, any explanation for why you just,
Look at me, Jen. Children.
Children?
Children and unarmed women. At least 100 of them, maybe 2.
As Jen watched Regan speak, she saw something that she had never seen before on the rogue's face.
Some of the kids were still at their mom's tit. Some of the women were too old to walk.
You can rest, you know. We don't have to talk about this now.
Yeah, we do.
You're looking pretty sick.
You're looking scared.
And I need you focused.
Yeah, I'm scared of what could make you feel sick.
Well, have a seat, girl. Are you in for a ride?
Okay. A couple hundred women and children.
It was a fucking massacre. The Knights of the Wood marched them half to death and shot them all to shit when they started to drop. Then they burned the bodies.
That was the fire. Jesus Christ.
You keep saying that. That a god where you're from?
Maybe, but debatable.
Hope she's a good one, because clearly ours are for shit.
I am still just trying to process what you... Okay, a massacre. Why?
Search me. Leaving no one behind who'd want revenge for the battle, maybe.
And they just shot them where they stood.
They marched them for days. No food, no water. Then this one kid couldn't have had a single crotch hair yet. He just collapsed, and they opened his throat right there. His mom freaks out, runs at the Lord Commander, and then they started shooting. Didn't stop until no one was moving.
That's fucking sadistic.
No. I almost wish it was. If Realism had been cackling like a maniac or flicking herself off of some crazy evil shit like that, at least I would have known it was unusual, you know? But she just looked bored. Like a farmer wringing a chicken's neck for the 1000th time.
Jen, you okay? What's going on? Oh, dude, she's up.
Is anyone else coming?
I think Nelson's following me.
Hey, what's the matter? Oh, sweet. I was gonna see you up. How you feeling? How you doing? You good?
Shut the tent and sit down.
Regan told me something you both should hear.
Regan repeated her tale once more. I'm skipping it. Not because I think you should be spared the brutality, mind you, but because it'll never be said in Jordan that I lacked a good sense of pacing.
Holy shit. Are you sure?
Regan shot Billy a look that could have melted moon silver.
Okay, fine. But why, though?
I don't know. I always knew elves were pieces of shit under all the jewels, but I never knew it was like this.
Oh, Nelson, you dumbass. How did I miss that? No one is always chaotic evil. Regan, the jewels in Jordan are mined in the Black Mountains, right?
Most of them, yeah.
The same place where the orcs are from, and the elves have a buttload of jewels.
And they use them to keep all the little lords and ladies eating from their hands.
That's why they're killing them. It's a resource grab. Telling everybody they're savages just makes them easy to kill. You know, like the exact same pattern that's happened 1,000,000 times over that I didn't fucking see.
Be fair to yourself, Nelson. We didn't see it either. Just because it happened in Lord of the Rings or something
I'm not
doesn't...
talking about Lord of the Rings. I'm talking about Africa, America, Nazi Germany, the Middle East. Everything my parents ever taught me about. Just whoosh, right over my head. I never met an orc, and I just believed everything their enemies said about them.
But we did meet orcs, dude. They were the ones marching up on us with an army of death metal wizards.
What would you do if you were them?
I'm just saying, it's not like we had no reason to think they're savages or whatever.
I mean, imagine if you knew the elves were slaughtering your children. Wouldn't you be mad enough to...
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus, ever-loving Christ.
What?
We helped the elves do it. Those women and children they killed were the families of the armies we fought. We killed a lot of them. I was just so excited to be a hero for once, and I didn't stop and think. I didn't even ask who was telling stories. For all we know, orcs are just people who look different.
I don't know about that, but I know what a grieving mother looks like, and that's what I saw.
Screw me, dude. Screw all of us, but screw me first. My parents even tried to warn me in my dream.
You done flogging yourself yet? Cause whatever you shouldn't have figured out, you ain't no fucking splinter pole, and you didn't pull those triggers. So how's about we kill that smug motherfucker just walked out of here, tie his little nuts up in a golden ribbon, and send them right back to his rich bitch parents?
Whoa, Yelloween? No way.
You wanna get serious with these splints or not?
Okay, first, you are in no shape to be killing anyone right now. And second, I'm pretty sure Yelloween didn't know about this.
Yeah, Weenie's a dick, but he's never been a monster.
I know he wasn't there, and I'm not saying he's a monster, but are you sure he had no clue about this? I mean, you heard the way his parents talk about humans. Imagine what they think of orcs.
Yeah, we need to talk to him. But can we at least try to keep the peace until he's had a chance to explain himself?
Wait, peace for who? For those dead kids?
For us, Nelson, for the 4 friends we have in this entire world to not be trying to kill each other? How's that?
I can't believe you're gonna put your comfort over saving people's lives.
Comfort? Are you fucking serious, bro?
Yeah, and I know. I spent all of high school trying to lay low and fit in because it was more comfortable than telling people to act right. But fuck that. Some shit cannot stand. Come on, Jen. What happened to the person who killed the child molester? Where is she? Huh? Where's she at?
I am all for kicking righteous ass, okay? But we can't kick anything if we're dead. And right now, we're 3 kids and an ICU patient against the entire world.
Hey, I'll kick your kick your fucking ass.
My point exactly. And yeah, I did stab that guy. I've done a lot of shit since I got here, including electrocuting orcs 6 at a time. We're saying the same thing, Nelson. We should have used our brains a second before going to war. That's all I'm suggesting now. I don't think starting with Yellowing is the right move. I think maybe we start with...
Is she all right?
Nia entered just then. Mortals do have this uncanny ability to enter a room just as they're becoming the subjects of conversation.
I came as fast as I could. Yellowin said she was having some kind of fit.
I don't know. She seems okay now. I think waking up was probably just a little weird.
To be sure. May I feel your head?
You can feel my...
Regan?
Fine if you must.
She's helping you.
No fever? That's good.
I didn't mean nothing yet. Just not used to being fawned over.
Well, then you've an incentive to rest up so you can heal soon. But in the meantime, I'm afraid you'll be unable to administer your own medical care. So here we are. I'd like to change the dressing on your burn. Do you have any pain there?
Fuck yes, I do.
That actually bodes well. It means the flesh is healing and not rotting.
Lovely. Hey, now that you mention it, why am I not impressively drunk right now?
Because you're barely getting enough air in your lungs as it is?
Indeed. If you were to, say, accidentally overindulge, it could be very dangerous. I've picked some willow bark for you to...
bite me. Fucking tree bark? You want me to eat tree bark?
No, it can be made into a tea. May I have your hand?
I don't know. You any good in the sack?
Yes, very clever.
Come on. You want to keep it, don't you?
Resigned, Regan held out her hand to Nia as if to say, get on with it.
Somebody look me in the eyes and tell me that tea will not taste like you strained piss water through a farmhand's small clothes. Yeah, exactly.
It will numb the pain. Somewhat.
Listen, I've broken bones before, but not without a good stiff drink. If I gotta stick this out with nothing but some shitty tea, I'm gonna open my own wrists.
Oh yeah? With whose hand, drama queen?
Your mother's, if she'll pull it out of me for 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now where's the whiskey?
Now then, let's have a look at... Oh, gods.
At the sight of Regan's palm, Nia went white, bordering on green.
What?
Shit, is it infected?
No. I'm sorry. The scar just startled me.
We talked about scars before, Professor. I'll live.
Just the shape of it took me aback. What did you say you burned it on?
Felt like a rock.
I'm sure it was. Must be just one of those cruel coincidences, I'm sorry to say.
Why? What have I got? Big old cock and balls burned into my hand?
Jen, Nelson, would you take a look, please? Have I gone mad at long last, or does that look like...
Oh, holy shit.
They looked, and there, red and raw and clear as day in Regan's living flesh, was the grisly visage of a skull, by its size an infant's.
What exactly were the circumstances of this fire?
The Once and Future Nerd is directed by Christian T. Kelly Madera. It is created and executive produced by Zach Glass and Christian T. Kelly Madera, and co-executive produced by Jess Kelly Madera.
Alex Story and Ryan Cushman are associate producers.
It is performed by
Rhiannon Angel,
Garrett Arman, Dan Dobransky,
Anya Gibeon,
Ian Harkins,
Paul Notice,
Juliet Prather,
Frank Querez,
Julie Reed,
Gregory M. Schultz.
Production audio recording by Jared Paul, with help this chapter by Robert Don. Editing by Josh Perot and Christian T. Kelly Madera.
Mixing and sound design by Pedro Tarago and Miguel Patriata.
Tom Lee is our musical director and lead composer, with additional scoring by Chris Montalvo. For more, visit onceandfuturenerd.com or find us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, or Reddit.